The white woman in Florida who killed a black mother who was challenging her for confronting her children chose not to take the stand. So now the jury in her trial will get this on tomorrow. Susan Lorincz told the court she would not take the stand in her case. She, of course, is the one woman who is on trial for shooting and killing Ajike Owens on June 2nd, 2023, through a locked metal door. Now, the mother of four had approached Lorintz's home to ask her why she had thrown a pair of roller skates at her children. Again, tomorrow, the jury, we're going to hear closing arguments and then actually get the case. Attorney Ben Crump joins us right now. He is the attorney for Owens' family. Ben, glad to have you here. And so y'all have been monitoring this. Of course, this started this week. Ben, give us an assessment how things have gone in this Florida courtroom.
Well, thank you so much, Roland, for covering this case that many people have forgotten about and the tragic circumstances. Her children were playing. A white woman called them racial epithets, including the N-word, called them slaves, and threw a skate at them. And these children, when they told their mother she came, was knocking on the door, and the white woman, Susan, shot through a locked metal door that had a deadbolt and said that she was claiming stand your ground defense. And tragically, A.J. Owens died in front of her two little boys. And so we remain hopeful, Roland, despite the fact that it is an all-white jury in Ocala, Florida, that would decide this matter. The fact that, you know, she chose not to take the stand was telling, we believe. Also, the prosecutor did not call her two little boys because already they did have emotional outbursts in the courtroom, and the family, nobody wanted them to have to relive this through another trial if they couldn't contain their emotions, because this is awfully emotional, Roland. I mean, these children having to watch their mother die, and then even her mother, Pamela Diaz, crying in the courtroom as they're going through the pictures and listening to the 911 tape before and after Pam was killed. Like, the neighbors were calling, and then her son, AJ's son, man, he was 8 years old, and you got him on the 911 call saying, the lady shot my mama, please help us. I'm trying to get my little brother and sister not to see her on the ground. It's heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking. And what's crazy here is that, as you said, it was a locked door. So it wasn't like this mother was trying to get into the home. She wasn't trying to attack this woman. Now, did her attorneys try to assert a stand your ground defense?
That's exactly what they're asserting, Roland. You know, the spirit of Trayvon Martin still is alive and well in the state of Florida, because the woman alleges that she was knocking on her door. She didn't know she had a weapon or anything. She feared for her life. And, you know, instead of calling 911, calling the police or anything, she shot her through the locked metal door. And that ballistics experts have testified, Roland, that she wasn't even close to the door. They said she was at least 15 feet away from her door when she was shooting through the door, based on the trajectory of the bullets and so forth. So we think that, you know, this notion that she was in fear of her life was revisionist narratives. The truth of the matter was she had constantly harassed the little black children who lived in that apartment complex. She had several complaints from other neighbors. That day, A.J. Owens had got off of work from working as manager at McDonald's. Her children came and said she threw the skate at us. A.J. went over there and was knocking on the door, and she was telling her, why did you do this? You know, she's screaming, why did you do this? And he never, ever tried to go through a window or anything. She was simply knocking on the door. And we know, Roland Martin, without a shadow of a doubt, if the roles were reversed and a black woman shot a white woman through a locked metal door, the charge wouldn't be manslaughter, it would be first-degree murder.
Indeed, indeed. So again, the closing arguments tomorrow, and then the jury will then deliberate on that point. Since we last talked to you, Ben, the police chief or the sheriff in the town where, of course, Sonia Massey was shot and killed, he has since resigned. There was pressure being put on him by the governor and others for him to step down. He's initially called it politics. One day later, he stepped down. Just your thoughts on that decision.
Well, we're thankful to Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois, who really engaged the family and was very attentive to the family calls that this guy should have never been hired. I mean, 6 departments within 4 years. And the fact that this sheriff didn't do a thorough background check, the blood was on his hands. Sonia Massey's blood is on his hands. And Governor Pritzker and I believe Vice President Kamala Harris is going to evoke the name of Sonia Massey and say that her blood is on these ballots. We got to go vote because we can't get the George Floyd justice and policing bill passed. Had we had that passed, then there would be a register of all of the police and their complaints that would be open for people to draw from, and there will be a cooling off period before you leave one department and just go to another. This guy had only been on that force for 2 months before he shot Sonia in the face after she said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." So Roland Martin, we have to keep fighting and can't take it for granted. I know Sonia's family may, if they, it's emotional, but they may come to the convention in Chicago since they're there in the state of Illinois. And we know that the county has tomorrow will announce the Sonia Massey Commission for Sangamon County, and we believe Governor Pritzker is going to announce one for the state of Illinois, and hopefully Vice President Harris will have a Sonia Massey component embedded within the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. I know Cory Booker, United States Senator, said he is amenable to doing so.
All right. Ben Crump, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. I'll start with you, Reese. You have this case. This white woman is in her home, locked door, metal door, a distance away. She still decides to fire this shot, killing this black woman. And, it goes to show, and here's a mother who's trying to protect her children. And this woman had no regard for her life. It sounds to me like, the Jordan Davis case, playing music. I mean, what you have racist white folks in this country who have no problem grabbing their guns and killing black folks.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially a lynching through the damn door because she felt entitled to take the life of this black woman. She felt entitled to terrorize this black family and her neighbors. And even if she is convicted, manslaughter is a slap on the wrist compared to what she should be doing, which is, a little street justice, if you ask me. But at a minimum, she should be charged with murder, with first-degree murder or second-degree murder. So this should be an open and shut case. The reality is that you don't get to just shoot people from inside of your home, 15 feet into your home. Miss Owens had no kind of history of AJ Owens had no history of violence towards this woman. There was no rational reason for her to do this other than the fact that, as Dr. Carr would say, no humans involved. That was her attitude. And hopefully she spends many of her old ass years in jail where she belongs.
That was the case, Greg, of the white man who killed Jordan. And listen, and he made a fateful decision, and he is sitting his behind in prison right now. But this also goes to show you when we talk about how Republicans operate in when it comes to these states. I mean, in Texas, there was a shooting last year at the State Fair of Texas. Well, the folks at the State Fair banned guns on the ground. You now have the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, who says if you do not rescind your decision, he's going to sue them. I mean, so these folks have a callous disregard of folks being shot and folks being killed. They would rather change the laws to put more guns in the hands of people and actually make it easier for folk to shoot and kill, such as these stand your ground laws.
They absolutely would. I mean, we know that Ken Paxton is a political miscreant, and they don't just play the race card. Their whole deck of cards is race. This is what they do. On the campaign trail this week, we saw the vice presidential candidate Tim Walz talk about the fact that he is a gun owner. He's a gun enthusiast. He says at the time he was in Congress, he was the best shot in Congress with the awards to prove it. And he said, and at the same time, these military-style weapons and all this extra firepower have no place in people's houses, no place near schools. In other words, it's very interesting to see as the Democratic Party unrolls its campaign here, the presidential campaign of 2024, to see how perhaps there is a reclaiming of some of this common sense approach to gun legislation and regulating guns. But of course, we see that the racist Susan Lorincz is going to pursue the wild card defense. And by the wild card defense, I mean the defense that has nothing to do with logic. As John Henry Clark used to say, when racism is involved, race calls race, and somehow race always answers. So, her defense, people say that within her mind, in her soul, at her core, she felt like she had no choice. So that's her appeal to the all-white jury. Forget logic, forget the rules, forget the laws. Go look into your white soul and somehow know that this fear of blackness, which is completely irrational, but nevertheless has seen many a lyncher escape from punishment when it's evoked. If she can appeal to their heart, soul, and core, that's going to be her attempt that's her attempt in order to try to get off.
You're absolutely right. And again, all she needs is one. All she needs is one person on that all-white jury to side with her, and then she gets a hung jury. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.